1, 2, 3, 4.
Participating? Okay, I think I will be right here. Yep. Okay. I don't think we're live yet. Oh, I'm on time. Three minutes, so
And at this time, I would ask Dr. Miller if she would do the roll call for us, please.
Good evening, board members. Ms. Frances Boomer.
Here,
Miss Naomi Clark. Present. Mr. Victor Dove.
present.
Mr. Carl Ipock.
Present.
Ms. Stephanie King.
she had an emergency.
Ms. Kelly Muse. Present. Ms. Kimberly Smith. Present. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to get I would like to get a motion to approve the board agenda for the November 3rd, 2021 board meeting. And keep in mind that nothing can be added to the agenda because this is a special call meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adopt the November 3rd, 2021 Board of Education special call meeting agenda. And at this time, I would like to take time to review our vision and our mission statements. And our vision is that we envision a public education system that challenges all students as learners and prepares them to imagine and create a successful life, value educators, and empowers them to inspire and spark innovation in every student, leads in education and community engagement, and invite our students, their families, and all members of the community to work together to support public education to the benefit of our students, our community, our nation, and our world. Our mission, together with our families and community, Craven County, educate all learners to personal, professional, and civic success through challenging and personalized instruction. And at this time, I will ask Vice Chairman Kimberly Smith to review the ground rules, the bin item process, and the safety procedure in the event of an emergency with the attendees of the Board of Education meeting.
Thank you, Chairman. We won't use the ban item process today because we can only talk about what we're here for, which is the redistricting lines, our election lines. Our meeting ground rules are on the back wall. We use them for all of our Craven County meetings. They're on that green chart. There you go. Like Nana is showing us right now back there. The ground rules are to post and approve the agenda, which you just saw us do, to listen as an ally. One person speaks at a time, respect each other, everyone participates, stay on task, start and stop on time, schedule appropriate breaks, evaluate at the end of each meeting. And if everyone can make sure that your cell phones, anything that beeps, vibrates, can do anything, if you could turn it off right now, or better yet, just put it away so we can all be present and really focus on the work that we're doing here. The safety for today, if we were to have a tornado we would split the room in half, right? Mr. Silvera, could you raise your hand? Okay, everyone to the right of Mr. Silvera's hand, to my right, we would go out this door here. We go into the interior hallway. If you're to the left, you'd go out into the interior hallway on this side. Cover our heads, get down. We would, if students were here, we'd have them demonstrate. The rest of us, we're not going to do that. So we would get down the floor, cover our heads, and wait for the all clear. If we had a fire, we'd split the room in the same way and enter out into the parking lots to the right and to the left of us. If we would have an intruder in the building that's not in the room, we would secure the doors, alert the building, call for help, and we wait for the all clear. If we would have an intruder that's in the room with us, we would do the kind of the same thing. We would alert the building, we call for help, and then we would do what we need to do inside here to take care of each other until we got the all clear to leave and to exit the building.
Thank you. And at this time, we call our board attorney, Mr. Brian Gatchell, and ask him to leave us with our invocation for this meeting.
Board members, if you'll please pray with me. O God, our eternal King, you divide the day from the night, turn the shadow of darkness into the morning light. You separate the dry land from the waters, the earth from the heavens. Remind us again that you have created all things, breathed life into each creature that walks on the earth, lies in the sky, or swims in the sea. You are the source of our every blessing. Call to our awareness that you reign over dominions and nations, principalities and palaces. Sit upon the throne of our hearts and rein us in. With you as our guide, we have but to yield to your direction. With you as our master, we have but to serve your will. With you as our ruler, we have but to serve your design. And so we pray that we would humble ourselves before you this day, and that you would lead us in the ways we should go, in our dealings with each other, in the decisions we face, in the debates we hold. O Lord, you are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending. In you we live, move, and have our being. May we serve you well and faithfully this day. In your sovereign name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I would like to everybody to please stand. And we're going to ask board member Naomi Clark to leave us with our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. And at this time, we would like to recognize any elected officials that we have present with us tonight, our dignitaries, anybody, and we would also like to welcome our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Arnita Morris, and our Principal of the Year, Ms. Stacy Freeble, and they both are remotely watching us tonight, and we appreciate them being here as well. And at this time, we would like to receive information from Tharrington Smith regarding the redistricting for the Board of Education election districts. Mr. Mitchell, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, board members and Dr. Miller. Adam Mitchell from Tharrington Smith, along with my colleague, Bill Gilkison. We've been working with you all on the redistricting process. I'd like to briefly set the stage and just do a quick recap of what we shared last time. It was a lot of information. And then I will turn the floor back over to the chair to open the public hearing and receive comment from the public. And then I'll come back up and help talk through next steps. So I always like to just remember or remind folks that we're talking about board election districts, not school districts. No student, the schools that students attend will not change as a result of this. This is board member elections. And We talked about what redistricting is. You gave us criteria that you wanted us to bear in mind when we drew districts. When we came back last, we presented 3 alternative plans, had a little bit of discussion, and now we're here this evening for the public hearing. And so on the map right now, you'll see a map of your current districts. These were drawn after the 2010 census, and by law, we're required to revisit them after each decennial census, and that's what we're doing now. We can go to the next slide. That's just a close-up of New Bern, again, from your current plan. And this chart shows the current districts with the 2020 population overlaid on top of those districts. And you'll remember that the rule that the courts have established is that our districts need to be within a plus or minus 5% range. And so we take the total population of the county, 100,720, we divide that by 7, which yields the ideal district size, 14,389. And then we look at how close each district is to that ideal side. And the column on the right shows the percent deviation. And you'll see that a couple of the districts are within plus or minus 5%, districts 1 and 3, but the rest are not. With 5 being the most overpopulated and 6 and 7 being the most underpopulated. And so this is alternative plan A, the first plan that we presented to you at the last meeting. A close-up of New Bern. The population data, you'll see on the right, all of the the percentages are within that plus or minus 5% range. And the characteristics of alternative A, we made minimal changes north of the Trent River. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 were close to the acceptable deviation, and we did the least to disturb them. South of the river, we equalized the 3 districts so that all had a deviation between -1 and -2%. There is a side-by-side visual. And then there's a side-by-side visual of New Bern. And now alternative B. There is the overall map with a close-up of New Bern there. The data chart again shows everything within the acceptable deviation. Districts 4 and 5 are slightly underpopulated. District 5 is fairly significantly underpopulated. District 6 and 7 are quite close to the ideal, as is District 2. And the characteristics of alternative B, we tried to keep the core of existing districts, it should say, instead of townships, but slightly less so than alternative A. It sets District 5, which is the highest growth district, at the lowest acceptable deviation, -4.98%. And you'll recall that one of the criteria you gave us was to consider future growth. That's not a legal requirement, but it's something that is often considered. If we know an area is going to grow faster, we can put it at the bottom of the acceptable deviation with the idea that over the course of the decade, hopefully things will stay closer to the ideal than if you didn't do that. So that's an example right there with District 5. It puts Riverbend and Trent Woods in different districts. And it takes District 1 south of the Trent and slightly west of the Neuse. And again, it generally retains the cores of the existing districts. And there is a side-by-side of the current map again and alternative B. Side-by-side of New Bern and alternative B. And then last but not least is alternative C. There is the overall map there. A close-up of New Bern. Your population data chart, and here districts 5, 6, and 7 are towards the bottom of the acceptable deviation range. Districts 1, 2, and 3 are towards the top of the acceptable deviation range. Again, taking into account projected future growth. In the characteristics, again, we tried to keep the cores of the existing districts. Changes the New Bern districts. It leaves District 3 in New Bern, Riverbend, and Trent Woods, but takes District 4 north of the city. Takes District 1 south of the Trent and west of the Neuse. And puts all 3 of the southern districts at the lowest acceptable deviation, again, anticipating future growth. And there is a side-by-side visual comparison and a side-by-side of New Bern. And there is the population data for the current plan and all 3 of the alternatives, A, B, and C. So that is what I wanted to share in advance of the public hearing. If there are any clarifying questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them now. Otherwise, we'll come back for discussion after we hear from members of the public.
Board members have any questions?
I do have one question or request. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Would you please review, so the public is aware, of the guidance criteria we gave to you and the fact that we were separated from the process after that guidance?
Yes, absolutely. So I believe it was at our first meeting. Again, we talked about redistricting, what redistricting is, the legal requirements, and then we reviewed with you. And actually, if we can go to, I think it's the third slide. If we can go back to that, the criteria is there. And I apologize for skipping over that. I wanted to be as succinct as possible, but it is important. We went through a set of criteria or potential criteria, and again, asked you for your feedback. And the criteria that you gave us, the first was not to take incumbents' residences into consideration. And my colleague Bill, as he drew the maps, did not look up where you live. And we still do not know where you live. It is legally acceptable to take that into account. But again, the guidance you gave us was not to do that. And so we did not do that. You asked us to take into account major natural boundaries, the rivers, US 70, 55, and 17 to the extent feasible. And again, we attempted to do so as much as possible, but it's not always possible. And then considering future growth, we talked about that as well. And you gave us some feedback about the military base in the southern part of the county and the drawdown and the end of the drawdown and how that might affect future growth. So those were the criteria that you gave us. And we have not had any individual conversations with board members about the districts, about the plan. And it's all been done in the public meeting like this. So I hope, Mr. IPOC, that addressed your concerns.
Yes,
So
sir.
your questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. I'll
Okay.
turn it back over to the chair. And
Thank you. And at this time, we open the meeting for a public hearing. And Ms. Smith, do we have anyone who signed up for public hearing?
No, Chairman, remember, we do not have anyone
Okay.
signed up.
Okay, no one has signed up for public hearing, but we do have some stakeholders who are here. And if even though you did not sign up because it is a special call meeting, we would like, if you have something that you would like to say, give public input, you may do so at this time. Okay. Thank you. And now we will discuss and consider the redistrict plans that have been presented to us, but for the election districts.
so at this point, board members, you've met all the legal requirements to adopt a redistricting plan. So I would welcome any discussion, questions, and if you are at the point where there is a motion that's ready to be made, I can help just phrase that in the proper way, given where we are in the process.
We're going to vote on these have us individually to see.
That's kind of what I was thinking, maybe take a sticky of where we are to see if we even need to have a discussion or if we need to. Is that what you're saying, to find
Yeah,
out
to find
where?
out where everybody is. I mean, because I know which
Yeah,
map I
you can do a
like.
straw poll, we'll just
Oh,
go
I do
around
too.
or whatever, yeah. Or we could just,
You, okay, Mr.
Everyone take-
Mr. Dub, Mr. Dub likes A,
I like A.
I like B,
I like B, and I like B.
Mr. iPod.
I prefer B.
There we go.
But we need to discuss, Mr. Dub, why were you considering A?
I was just thinking most of the growth is outside of the city per se. And District 4 kind of comprises the city itself. So with what I'm thinking where the less growth is, that had less change in that area. And when I was looking at his illustrations, that would put one that had no negatives across the board with that map either.
Anyone else?
I like A because to me, it keeps the lines a little bit cleaner. There's not as much, it keeps communities
Together.
more intact for the most part.
See, and I like B because to me, B looks more that way. The lines look cleaner in B. They look, there's no cutouts, it just looks very, it looks like lines were drawn, as they should be drawn. And I like B. There's a lot I like about B. A would be my least favorite. I would go B, C, A. But yeah, we're all different. We're all representing different places.
Ms. Clark?
I like B. And the reason I like B is that, for me, Havelock, proposal A is just not a palatable option. It moves District 6 all the way up to Bryce's Creek, which sort of diminishes any vested interest in Havelock. It moves Carolina Colors into a Havelock district. It goes past News Harbor on the right. It also gives Havelock voters the fewest number of registered voters. If we contrast that with proposal B, it gives the two Havelock districts the largest number of citizen voters, and this is proposal B. It splits Havelock up 70 up through there. Westbrook moves to District 7, as does the right side of Havelock. It stops right before Carolina Colors. Quite frankly, I just think that if had my druthers, it would be option B. And I think that is the fairest of all our stakeholders.
And to piggyback on her when she was listing the things about how, like, the other thing that B does, B and C both, B keeps the majority of the military housing units represented by one district. C would keep all of the military housing units, which isn't a big deal to people who live through the whole lives, but to the military, it's a huge deal. So B and C are the two that protect our military community that may not vote here, but we represent them. And that to me is the censure for B and C for Havelock, is because people need to understand Havelock to be representing our schools in Havelock. So and A would change that dynamic for our community greatly.
Any more discussion? Okay. I guess my next question is, do we want to proceed tonight to vote to decide on A, B, or C?
Yeah, if everybody
I just, I mean, I want to, but I just want to make sure that that's what we want. So at this time, Mr. Mitchell, will you make that motion for us, please?
Sure. So
You
what?
have the right word and then we don't.
Right, yeah, I'll let you make the motion, or any of you make the motion, but what I would ask is that there be a motion to approve alternative blank, whatever that may be, and to further move to authorize the board chair to execute the resolution and other formal documents necessary to complete the process. And let me explain what I mean by that. I will prepare a resolution that has maps attached to it, and that also has some very technical documents that list the census blocks and which district they go in. It's something for mapping professionals in the Board of Elections. But we put that so that if there's any question about what goes in what district, that's there. And so I will prepare that as soon as you all make the decision and then send that back to your staff to have the chair execute it. So I would just ask that you give the chair that authority to execute it so that we don't need to come back and have another meeting to do that.
I move that we adopt proposal B. I also move that the board authorize the chairperson to execute the proper litany so that we can put this into action.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adopt a proposal B, and that the board give the chairman permission to
Execute the required resolution and documents.
execute the required resolution document. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have heard the motion. Are you ready for a question? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? No. Okay.
Madam Chair, should we do a roll
Should we
call?
have a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Dole. No, Miss, I'm sorry, I'm taking your job, Miss Dr. Miller. Will you do that for us, please?
Ms. Francis Boomer,
Yes.
Ms. Naomi Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Victor Dove,
No.
Mr. Carl Ipock,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly Muse. No. Ms. Kimberly Smith.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeses, 2 noes. The motion passes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure working with you all, and we will get those documents prepared and sent over.
Thank you for all the work that you have done for us. Thank you. And at this time, I will ask Dr. Miller if she will conduct our evaluation of this meeting.
All righty. In thinking about your mission tonight, what worked? What are the pluses of tonight's meeting?
I think the information from Tharrington Smith was amazing because it allowed us to go through all the maps, to overlay them, to see everything, and it helps. I think it helped us be more timely and efficient with this process.
I'm watching my recorder here, so I'm when she's ready. Okay. Anything else that worked tonight?
The comments I've received from the community is that they appreciate the way we navigated this, and that, I mean, even if we had to essentially start over and draw brand new lines, they were very appreciative of the guidance we gave to get these maps drawn.
All right. Other pluses, what worked?
Tonight we requested public input, and even though no one has specifically signed up, it was still extended that folk would be welcome to participate.
All right. Other pluses, what worked?
Everything that they said.
Mr. Dove says ditto.
I appreciated the lead time too, that gave us plenty of time to explore the 3 options.
Right.
I do have a question. The public comments will be read into the record also for this meeting, the written comments that we received. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I was listening. If I can clarify, we did put the maps out there and we had an opportunity for the public to get input as well. And I updated the board pretty much nightly with new comments. So the board was able to take those comments into consideration.
So they will be added to the minutes.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am. Any other pluses?
I have one. Even though the stakeholders didn't put in any public input, they did come to listen, to give support. And so we appreciate you coming and to listen to what we are trying to do.
All right, any other pluses?
Nice to have Heather with us.
Say that again?
Nice to have Heather with us.
Oh,
Yeah, she's sweet. I like her.
anything else? All right, in order to improve, were there any deltas tonight? It would even be better in the future if,
We could all be here.
And I'll say, I think more engagement. There were a lot of people here, but they were here about mandates and masks and things. But, and people, I think sometimes if it had been about school redistricting, they would have been here. I wish that there was a better way to communicate how important these electoral districts are to people and to the schools. I mean, who represents your school is huge. And so it would have been better if there had been more engagement and people understanding the process of what we were doing.
okay? Any other deltas? It would even be better if. And since Heather got kudos, I'm going to let her read back the pluses and the deltas.
Tonight's pluses, we had information from Tharrington Smith. It was amazing. It was thorough. They did a good job with the maps and the overlay. They helped us be timely and efficient in our decision making. We had good comments from the community. They appreciated that we navigated this and gave good guidance with the maps. We requested public input, and even though no one signed up, we had extended the information and made it available. We had a lot of lead time to explore our options. The stakeholders came to listen and support, even though no one commented. And it was nice that I am here. And deltas tonight, well, we wish we could all be here. And we wish more of the public stakeholders had been here, because we want to communicate that electoral district involvement is really important. Just generally more engagement from the community would have been nice.
And Madam Chair, that concludes your plus deltas.
Thank you. And once again, we thank everybody for coming tonight. And at this time, I entertain a motion for the Board of Education to adjourn the November 3rd, 2021 special call meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adjourn the November 3rd, 2021 special call meeting. You all have a good night.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
I'm sorry,
Madam Chair.
all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
I don't think nobody gonna oppose. Ayes have it, the meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
I'm ready to go.